Welcome to A Pair of Bookends, the book club you can carry anywhere. I'm your host, Hannah MacDonald, and I'll be bookending the conversation with some of the most exciting voices from the bookish world. Welcome to a very special episode in collaboration with Independent Bookshop Week, the annual celebration of indie bookshops across the UK and Ireland. This year it takes place from the 15th until the 22nd of June with a ton of exciting initiatives and events happening. For more information, head to www.booksonmybag.com. To celebrate Independent Bookshop Week, I have headed over to one of my local independent bookshops, Serenity Booksellers in Romiley. Serenity Booksellers is an independent, family-owned bookstore aimed at growing a love of books within the community and surrounding area and supporting UK authors, artists and makers. Here to chat all things books and indie bookshops, I'm joined by Kelly, owner of Serenity Booksellers. Welcome to A Pair of Bookends.
Thank you for asking us, Hannah. It's lovely to be here.
It's lovely to be in your beautiful bookshop. I have actually not been in here before and I am just completely obsessed. You're not going to get rid of me now. So
Oh, good. I mean, you brought the sunshine with you today. It is a lovely day to come in, so we will have you anytime.
I'm really glad. But let's start us off by asking my favourite question, which is, what are you currently reading?
I rarely do this, but I'm reading two books at once, which I don't normally do, and they're both fiction. Usually I can read a non-fiction and a fiction book at the same time, but I have picked up The Coast Road by Alan Moran, which is a debut novel. There's so many debut novels that have come out this year that have been fantastic. Yeah, so this was on my radar a few months back, and I'm glad to have it in my hands. It's a really atmospheric novel. I'm not too far into it yet, but it is set in Ireland in the 1990s before divorce was legal, and it's about a woman who's separated from her husband and she is trying to see her children and she's denied that right, and she is helped by a neighbour who's also going through trouble in her own marriage. So it's about friendship, which I love those types of books that, have situations where if it's bad and it's getting worse, what's going to happen? How are they going to get out of it? So I'm really looking forward to finishing that one.
It's such a good book. I had Alan on the podcast and he was brilliant, and any kind of Irish fiction I'm immediately drawn to. There's no humour quite like it, and I just loved getting into all the characters' different lives and seeing all those. Such a gossipy community, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many great Irish novelists that are in the spotlight at the moment, and rightly so. And it's exciting. It's really good. As I said, debut. I mean, how can one person be so talented straight away?
I know. Yeah, I think this all the time. And I did also. I asked Alan because I saw that Gillian Anderson had given an endorsement, and I asked him very cheekily. I was like, "Is Gillian Anderson giving you an endorsement because she wants to be in some kind of future adaptation?" And he said he could neither confirm or deny that. So
I love her. She's got a book coming out this year as well, which I
really
cannot
want
wait
to
for.
read.
Yeah.
Have you had an early copy?
I have not yet, but I am definitely going to. I cannot wait. I'm sure. Surely there's not early copies out already.
I actually don't know when it's coming out.
Later this year. Is it September? I think September is ringing a bell. I cannot wait to read that book. I'm gonna definitely highlight it in the shop big time with some other books that are similar to that. I think it's a really great one about women's experience of desire and their secret desires. And she's written, and it's all anonymous, isn't it? So
it is, yes.
She's written her own.
It's such a cool concept, isn't it?
I can't wait. It's going to be great.
I will just say, for the benefit of the listeners, that the bookshop is open, so any background noise, it's just adding to the ambience of this episode, which is very lovely.
We're open 7 days a week.
So to start us off, could you tell us a bit more about Serenity Booksellers and where the journey started in setting up this place?
It was always a conversation that Chris, my husband, and I had dreaming. I'm from book retail in Australia, so I had spent a decade in the book industry in Australia, which I loved, and then we had a family and moved to the UK. So it was always something that we had discussed, but I didn't think it was actually on the horizon. And we were over in a coffee shop over the way from where the bookshop is now, and there was a shop for lease, and we thought we would have a look at it. And I said to Chris, you better be serious about this if you're going to have a look. Like, if we're going to do this, it has to definitely happen. We're quite impulsive sometimes in our decision making, so I wanted to be sure that this wasn't something that we were just wanting to happen, but it wasn't going to be a success. So, and we had a look at what was a hair salon. It had been a hair salon for 50 years, and it was in quite a state. It was in its original condition from 1970s. So there was lots of work to do, but we wanted to do it. We could really see that something like this was needed in the community. We have some great schools around in the area as well, so putting books in hands of young people is an exciting thing to do. So yeah, we went for it, renovated. It took about 3 months of really hard work, and we opened at the end of April 2023. So we've just celebrated our first year, and it's been... Thank you very much.
How does that feel? It's been a year.
It's great, and you know, hello there. It couldn't have been done without the community support, and we have so many great people. People are still discovering us here and saying, I've never been in before, I've been meaning to come in all the time. I think what's really great is when we opened, we used to get almost on a daily basis people coming in and telling us how brave we were to open in this current climate, and a bookshop, you know, is at the end of books. Are people still buying books? I know I am, so... But... Yeah, so we were told we were brave, and now when people come in, they tell us how grateful they are that we're here, and I think that's a great turnaround and a great thing to hear. You know, 12 months on, that they're so lucky that we're here, and we feel lucky that they're coming in. You know, but
for sure.
But you know, people don't tell us that we're brave anymore, which is kind of good. So.
But you know, we are in, like, you know, the current climate that we're in. You know, there's been a cost of living crisis that we're still sort of living through. Why do you think that shopping locally and shopping at independent bookshops is important over, say, you know, your Amazon or your chain bookshops?
It's a really good question. And supermarkets and so
yes,
many
of
other
course,
places,
yeah.
So many other places you can get books. It is the sense of supporting local. I think for people to want their high streets to remain and for small business to remain strong, you have to support it. And people do shop simply because it's local. Yeah. Because they know that they are supporting their local economy and that they're creating jobs and they're doing good. And I think that's one reason. The other reason is that picking up a physical book and being able to browse is part of the experience of a bookshop. So you can't do that online. You can't do that with a Kindle. And I think, you know, we're certainly on the other side of electronic devices, being able to read on them, and they have their place too. And I would never say to someone, don't consume books in a certain way, because it's important that we're reading and we're keeping our minds growing, and we're still, you know, reading books, doesn't matter how. But in terms of purchasing and our habits around supporting local and being able to pick up a physical book, that's really important to people, and I think that's why independent bookshops will remain, and they will, whatever comes now, you know, I'm sure that people will still want that experience.
Yeah, for sure. What is your relationship like with the people with this community?
This is the unexpected pleasure. I think we didn't realise how much we would gain personally from having those relationships with people at a local level. Yeah. We've got great relationships with our neighbours, our business neighbours, and we have our book club, which we have 140 people signed up to, and every session, we've got 4 sessions people can attend, and every session is full now. It's getting bigger. One of those sessions is in the Grapevine, which is the bar 2 doors down, the wine bar. And Julie, right from the beginning, said, you know, I'm so glad you're here, welcome. And I just wanted to work with her straight away, and she's been incredible. And it's fantastic being a part of the business community as well. But in terms of our customers and our loyal customers, we already have such great loyalty. We do have a loyalty card as well, so that's helped bring that repeat business. But just those conversations with people, I know them by name, say hello, we have a chat. It's such a lovely experience, and you know, for somebody that's not from this country and has come over, and that sense of community and belonging, that's what it's given me personally. And I know that I mean, Chris is the friendliest guy you'll ever meet. So
are you going to say hello?
Oh, hello. I try my best to be nice and quiet, which is quite out of character for me. But,
no, let's hear you.
You're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And so yeah, it's lovely. I don't want to be a celebrity in my own village. The thought of that is not appealing at all. But just, you know, perhaps talking to somebody that may not have had that many conversations in a week, or that might be a bit down and want to come in and chat, and those types of things that have happened. You know, I've made friendships and things that, you know, I wasn't expecting. So it's wonderful to be a part of the community, and it's a wonderful thing to be appreciated as a business as well, and being supported.
And you worked in book retail in Australia.
That's right.
What is the difference between sort of the publishing industry out there and what is it like over here? What's the difference, would you say?
I would say, because I worked for a company, so that was all negotiated at a head office level, in terms of buying and those relationships. Being an independent bookshop, it's nice to have that control of core stock and range, and also being able to have those conversations with reps and get excited about the books that are coming out. And so it's very different experience for me, because I'm buying all the books. So it rests on my head, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's wonderful, you know, to be able to do that.
And what are the books that this community are hungry for? Like, what are the genres that they're mostly looking for? What authors are they enjoying?
That's a great question. So we started out with 3,500 titles when we opened, and that was a lot of research and just a lot of you know, trying to create a good core range across lots of different genres. So make sure that everything was available, and then customers came in and really changed that and asked for things. And so our range has changed because we listen to our customers and what they're asking for. And so I would say that they are looking for crime fiction primarily. That's our biggest category. Children's books, all different ones that people grew up with that I'm not aware of. So they're part of our core range now as well. And also the series, Lucinda Riley's series, The Seven Sisters. So that was not one that I'd heard of before, and our customers still ask for that series. So that's a really popular one. And yeah, so really I guess my job is to put books in front of people that perhaps they wouldn't have normally chosen. And the book club is a really good way of doing that. We've read some really great books.
What's been your favourite book club?
Oh, my favourite one. That is a great question. Really loved A Terrible Kindness.
Who's that by?
That is by Jo Browning Rowe.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
If you have not read
I've got that on my shelf and I need to get to it.
It's
You don't want to speak to me anymore.
No. It's one of my favourites. No, it really affected me, and it's set around the events of Aberfan. So if you ask anybody what happened in the UK in 1966, they'll tell you the World Cup. But what actually happened also was a landslide happened in Wales that killed lots of children. It crushed a school, and it's set around the events of that. But it is about an embalmer. So the main character is a young man who is growing up learning that skill, and it is such a beautiful, wonderful story. And he is just the character that he is, you have such empathy for him, but he's a closed book as well, and he's trying to find his way in the world, and how the events of that tragedy affected him as well. It's an incredible book.
That's just shot straight up my TBR pile now that you've said that.
It is fantastic. The other one I have to mention, because people are still from the book club coming in and buying this book as presents for other people, and that's Katya Balin's October.
I've not come across
It is classified as a children's book,
wow.
but it's a beautiful book, and it is about a young girl who is a wildling with her father. They live in the woods, and she grows up. Her mother is in the city, so her parents aren't together, and I'm not telling you anything, no spoilers. It's all on the back of the book. So he gets injured, and her mother comes back into her life, and she has to try and, I guess, reconcile those two very different ideals about how she should have been raised. But it's got some beautiful moments and lots of really relatable childhood moments in it, I think, that people really felt. And yeah, it is a perfect book, and it has a beautiful cover as well by Angela Harding. Are you familiar with Angela's?
No.
So she does these beautiful lino prints, and her artwork is sensational, and this cover has got a beautiful owl on the front, and it's go and get it, it's just amazing.
I'm very much, if I see a nice cover, I'm straight away joined to stop. Oh my goodness, that's gorgeous. How incredible is that?
So Chris has just read the advanced reading copy of Katya's next book called Ghost Lines, and he loved it. Chris also loved October as well. So
yes, Chris has just brought me over a copy of October so I could have a look at the gorgeous cover. It's incredible.
Loved that one from the book club.
It's so nice.
Yes.
Now, you're already selling me books right now because you're speaking about them in the most beautiful way, so you're clearly very good at this. I don't think I'm going to be leaving here without a book.
Don't feel pressured.
I mean, I walk into a bookshop and it's very hard for me to tell myself to walk out without getting something. But I have got some reader requests for you in a moment. But before I get onto that, I want to talk about your reading tastes. So do you want to tell the listeners what your favourite genre is and what some of your favourite authors are?
Yeah, I really, when I get time to read and I'm not reading the book club book, I love contemporary fiction or literary fiction, and I've read so many great books this year. I've read Percival Everett's James. Yes, you need to get to that, which is the retelling of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn from the perspective of the enslaved Jim. It's powerful. You'll love it. You will love it. It's definitely up there as one of my all-time favourites, I think. I loved Hard by a Great Forest.
Gorgeous book.
It's such a bittersweet book.
Yeah, it really is. I spoke to Leo on the podcast and I told him off. I said to him, you had me like laughing 1 minute and then just completely beside myself crying.
And that's
just
a
gut punch.
Yeah, yes. And that's absolutely on purpose. There's no doubt. And again, a debut novel, which is incredible.
It's insane.
It's insane. That's up there for me. What else have I read that I really loved? There's so many. I could just go on and on.
Are you led by any prizes or anything like that? Like where do you look for book recommendations?
I love the Women's Prize.
Yes, me too.
I think that's my favourite.
Yeah.
I don't always get to the books. But I certainly pay attention to that one. And anything that invites me to empathise with a character, or if it's a difficult situation, because I think I'm looking at a book through the lens of, I'm very privileged where I am in life, and, I don't have any major worries, and yet you can be drawn into these beautiful books where the language allows you to feel empathy for people that you may not have felt empathy for. And you know that they're in bad situations, and you think, no, don't do that, don't go down that path.
I had that so many times with The Coast Road.
Yeah, I'm sure. They're the kinds of books that I want to read. Yeah. I love a good cry.
I love a good cry, yeah.
I love a good cry. Whether it's happy cry or sad, ugly cry, I'm open to both. And, I want to feel something when I read. So, yeah, I recently read 3 Burials by Anders Lustgarten. I think it was a play. I could be completely wrong, but it's certainly a debut novel again. It is a fantastic snapshot of what's currently going on in the UK. It is about refugees crossing dangerous waters. It's about a mother who is grieving, who finds a body washed up on the beach and wants to reunite that person with their family that they've come over to see, or the person that they've come to see. But it's also a page turner in terms of there's a chase. So the person that's pursuing her is a roid-raging cop out for blood. But it's an incredible snapshot of what's going on in the country currently, and how we have people that are already angry individuals that consume media in a way to fuel their own anger. It's a fantastic book. It's not a very big book, but I very much enjoyed that. So I want to feel something when I read, and that's great. Also, we have Will Muir, who is coming in on the 18th of June, part of Independent Bookshop Week. Unfortunately, that is sold out, but he has written a non-fiction book. So Will is from Romley. He was longlisted for the Booker Prize in 2016 for his novel The Many, which is very atmospheric, and he's written The Draw of the Sea, and this is the companion to that, The Heart of the Woods, that's coming out on the 6th, and it's about our relationship with nature and how we shape wood and the trees around us and how it affects our life in turn. So it's a beautiful book as well.
I'm seeing quite a lot of books about like nature and stuff popping up into the mainstream at the moment. I recently read Small Hours by Bobby Palmer, and I spoke to him, Bobby, on the podcast, and I said to him that it completely changed the way I was. My appreciation for nature was kind of, I don't even really think about it because I'm very much a city girl. I'm from like Manchester, and now moving out, I've kind of started to appreciate it a little bit more. But when you read about it and you really get immersed in that world, you start to really think about your own relationship to nature. And yeah, I'm really surprised that it's all kind of, there's so many books about nature writing that are popping into the mainstream at the moment.
Yeah, but bird watching, caring for the coast. The East Coast is beautiful here, and I think it sometimes gets forgotten that we have, we do have beaches.
Yes.
Coming here from Australia, it sounds, people always say, why did you move here? And we have a lot of scrub. We don't have the beauty of the countryside. Yeah. And there's nothing more I love than to take a drive or a walk outside of and see where we are. It's breathtaking, and it's so green, and it's incredible. And the nature here, like the bird life, we have magpies that want to kill you in Australia, whereas here you have nice magpies. The robins, and it's just all there, and it's we should definitely protect it and appreciate it.
For sure.
It's beautiful.
This episode is for Independent Bookshop Week, and you mentioned that you've got a sold out event, but is there any other things that listeners can support you with Independent Bookshop Week?
We have our website, so if they want to support us and they are not able to get into the bookshop, we have our website, which is linked to bookshop.org. They can come in and support us during the week, of course. Yes. So we have the Gruffalo coming in on the 19th of June, which is very exciting for little ones to come along, and we've got so many people excited about that. So you don't need to book. You can just come in, and we've got the Gruffalo in at 11:30 and 4 p.m, and there'll be stories, and it is lovely. There's nothing better than little ones coming in and picking up books, because that's where it begins. Yeah, putting books in hands, no matter if they can read, they're at a reading age or not. That's where it begins.
Well, you had a child in at the start of this episode that people would have heard screaming about excitedly, so I love that. Is there anything else?
There is. What else do we have?
I think a great thing to do is to sign up to our mailing list, because we are constantly working on really exciting events. We've got lots of author events that are in the pipeline that we're eager to tell people about, that I keep getting told off because I keep giving away our secrets, but we're finalising some more future author events. So throughout the year we've got author events of all different genres, which we're very, very excited about. So if listeners do want to find out more about that and come and get some really exciting opportunities to meet some wonderful authors, sign up to the mailing list on our website, serenitybooksellers.com, and that's the first place where we tell people about our author events. And during the month of June, we have also got a competition running where if anybody does sign up to our mailing list, we're going to do a draw to an £100 Serenity Booksellers voucher as well. So now's your time.
Yeah, for sure. Get on that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
What he said.
I was just also going to say that off the back of what Chris was saying, that you also have, if people can't get into your bookshop and if they're looking for gifts for people, you do have a gift voucher on your website, don't you? So
yeah,
they can purchase that
yes.
to get other people books, which
absolutely.
is lovely.
And we will have offers during that week as well. So if people are coming in, we will have special offers and giveaways and lots of other things.
Bookshop.org doing free shipping during Independent Bookshop Week?
That is a very good question. I do not know. Did they do it last year? I think they did, didn't they?
So.
I can't remember if it was that week or...
I'll double check. But yeah, so I think bookshop.org are a great organisation that we work with. So, you know, if people can't get in to see us and they order through bookshop.org, they're fantastic at supporting independent bookshops, aren't they?
Yes.
On our website, we're continually evolving our website, and it's now transactional, so people can buy things like special editions and signed editions, and we'll continually update that on our website. But then, you know, people can't make it in, but they are looking for pretty much any book, like bookshop.org have access to something like 500,000 titles. They can go and order through there with things like free, and still choose to support ourselves, where we get a small commission for those sales to be sold, and they do all of the distribution as well. So it's a great organisation, and on an alternative, if people still want online and shipping delivered to their house, it is a great alternative to your big players like your Amazons, etc.
Yeah.
And still have that level of local support where people can choose to support their own local independent bookshop. So great thing that we rely on.
Yes, what I was going to say was that when we opened the bookshop, it was really important to us that we were accessible in terms of wheelchair accessibility, prams. So we have designed the bookshop in a way that people can get around easily and shop, and anyone can come in. We don't have stairs at the front. It's straight out to a car park that's flat surface. So it's really important that people are able to have access to books. They can have a shopping experience where it's not confusing to find things, it's not crammed with things. So when you come in, you can see why something is where it is and understand what you're looking at. Because for me, I get very confused and overwhelmed in shops when I go in, so I immediately want to leave. So that's the idea around Serenity and the name, as well as being a reference from an Australian film. It is
what Australian film?
The Castle.
I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, it's an old one, but there's a quote in it that says, "How's the Serenity?" and that's where it's from. But it is that experience when we have the music on and the door is closed and people can come in and their eyes can rest over individual things and take it in, be able to pick things up. And that's the experience of Serenity. And that's what we're about.
I mean, you do a great job of that, because I walked in before and I just wanted to kind of float around and look at all the books, and it's a very relaxing atmosphere in here. So yeah, I think you've done that perfectly.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We don't do the hard sell here.
No.
We allow people to, if they want recommendations, we are always available and we will make ourselves known. We will say hello to everybody. But it is really that browsing experience that you can't get online, that you can't get, in a supermarket.
For sure, yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask you, aside from your own bookshop, obviously this episode is all about your bookshop, but what are some of your favourite independent bookshops?
Yes, Simply Books in Bramall is a great one. We used to live in Hazel Grove, so it was our local bookshop there. There are some new owners there, so that's exciting for them. They've taken over a great bookshop. Dark Peak Books in Glossop.
Okay.
So they're not too far away, and so they are another great local bookshop. There's so many that I have seen on social media that I haven't been to. Booker Bookshop, Truman, Bookshop. So I'm yet to, I mean, we work 7 days, so it's really difficult to
Of
get out.
course,
But that's,
yeah.
you know, there's some great people that are doing great things, and we will certainly be trying to get out to as many of those places as we can when we can. Yeah, there's some, you know, local bookshops around and independent, and doing, you know, exactly what we're trying to do here is serve the community. Put books in hands. So yeah, there's definitely some great ones around.
Yeah, there's some great suggestions. I think we should get into some requests for you. So I asked on social media, I sound like an old person.
I think I've said social media as well in this, so count me in that.
I asked on Instagram for requests from people for books they've enjoyed that they would like suggestions of something similar, or it might be a particular genre that they want more of. So I'm going to go through them one by one. Okay, so I've just seen my sister's wrote, you already know mine. So my sister gave me a very specific request the other day. So let's start with my sister. I should be doing other people, but here we are. So my sister Olivia she specifically said a lesbian version of Gilmore Girls.
That is very specific.
So what...
My suggestion would be, and it hasn't come out yet, but this is on my to be read next anyway, and it's Charlotte Mendelssohn's Wife, which is about queer love and new queer love and those left behind in its wake when passion curdles. That's what it says on that. So it is the idea that queer love, you know, when people get married and it's all happiness, and that's they're real people like everyone else, and you know, if it's a new experience, then what happens when that goes wrong? And yeah, I really love. Look, Charlotte sold this at an event that I was at, and it sounds great, and it is a family drama at heart, but I think it will be great. It comes out in August, so I would suggest that one, if I may.
I absolutely loved The Exhibitionist. That's hers as well, isn't
Yes.
it? Yes, I loved that, so I'm very excited that she's got a new one coming out.
Yes, so that is the 8th of August.
Wonderful. Well, that'll be just in time for my sister's birthday, so there we go. I'll have to get
Thanks,
her that.
Hannah's sister.
Okay, next up, Lynn at the Book Squares asked, she said, please find me something like Still Life. Nothing has compared since. Is Still Life by Sarah Winman?
It is.
I believe.
I would suggest Kate Morton. She has just written a book that is called Homecoming, which is an immersive saga set mostly in Australia, and it is beautifully written about family, and what you think you know about family, and discovering truths at the end of this particular matriarch's life. And yeah, it was just incredible. So I would suggest Homecoming by Kate Morton. I love Kate Morton. House at Riverton, which is called The Shifting Fog in Australia, is one of my favourites. So
I haven't read any Kate Morton, so I will have to add that to my list. That's a great recommendation, thank you. Let me find our other one. You're doing very well at this. I'd be freaking out a lot more. Okay, Layla Kazouz said, would love more Rex, like All Fours by Miranda July. I think that's
a
come
new,
out.
it
new.
has.
I can see it on your shelf.
Yeah. I haven't read it myself. I'm sorry.
Go grab it.
I've already said it. I've already suggested this book, but I would suggest Three Burials. It is also about leaving family to do what's right and to do what's in your heart and being driven by something bigger than yourself. So it's also new. Yeah, I would suggest that one.
I also feel like, and I've not read it yet, but it's on my list, Breakdown by Kathy Sweeney. I feel like is similar vibes in that it's a woman that upends her life, just leaves her family and goes off on this like road trip. I'm pretty sure, so I feel like that might be similar vibes, if that helps at all. Now this one is really difficult. This is Joseph at archivist_reader.
I'd love to read more Scandi lit, in brackets, but not crime. Maybe something Finnish and modern.
These are so specific. No customers come into my store that are this specific. This is confronting. There's so many Scandi noir books coming out that would probably fit that bill. I think there is one called Prey. Can I just go have a look?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you know, I'm going to bypass all of that and just recommend you an excellent book called Glorious Exploits by Ferdia Lennon. And just go into your local indie bookshop and pick it up and read the first page, and you will be completely sold. It's set in 412 BC. It's about two friends who want to put on a play. They want to put on Medea, and they're going to use slaves to do that, or enslaved people. It is hilariously funny. It is dark. It is a tragicomedy, and it's just brilliant. And again, a debut novel. So I would completely ignore all the things you've asked me. And just put this in your hands and say, read it, because, it has that darkness. It's not crime, but it is about friendship, and it's essential.
I love that. That's my list. And I will say that Chris just very kindly brought over a recommendation, which is Anxious People by Frederick Backman, which I've heard a lot about, and I believe it's been adapted into a Netflix series. That's what it says on there, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yes.
That's just for non-crime fiction. Technically, it is sort of a crime fiction.
But I think it's more than that, isn't it? It's more than just that. I have my own recommendation. I have my own request.
Oh no!
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You are obviously from Australia. Were you born?
Yes.
Yes. So
I don't sound very Australian.
You do.
Oh,
you do, but I didn't want to assume.
Yes. Yes. So yes, I was born in a small country town in New South Wales, which is about 3 hours west of Sydney.
Stunning.
Yeah.
I'm very jealous. So you're from there, and Aussie Lit is something that I want to dive more into, especially in our literary fiction sort of sphere that we enjoy so much. I did read Green Dot by Madeline Gray this year. That was a huge debut. I think most people loved it. I had her on the podcast. I'm very much in love with her. What recommendations would you have around Aussie Lit? Talk to me.
Lots, but two that I could recommend. Tim Winton, who wrote Cloud Street, Dirt Music, Breath. There's so many that he's written. He does have a one coming out later this year as well, which I know nothing about. I think that's probably on purpose, so he's not put a lot out about it. But if anyone can capture the heat and dust and feeling the sparseness of Australia, he's just a wordsmith like no other. And I loved Dirt Music in particular, which is about a complicated relationship and grief. So all the good stuff. Yeah, I can't recommend that highly enough. Richard Flanagan.
Yes.
Who has written fantastic novels and is so aware, as is Tim Winton, so aware of where we are globally, the situation we have with, our environment, and how we need to really reconcile our past and have an awareness about where we come from, not just white settlement, but further back than that. And these two authors really talk widely about that through their novels and through their research. And I love with Richard Flanagan, he has a book called Gould's Book of Fish, which was excellent. Also The Wanting, or I think it's just called Wanting, is one of my favourites. It has ties to a young Aboriginal girl who was adopted by a prominent white family, and it's based on true events, but also it has ties to Charles Dickens as well throughout the novel. So I would definitely recommend those two if you like literary fiction. Those are my two favourites.
So many excellent recommendations today. We are coming to the end of our recording, which is crazy. So let's finish. Are there any standout reads that you've not already mentioned this year or from recent years that you want to shout about?
You probably. What have I loved recently? For Thy Great Pain, Have Mercy on My Little Pain.
Very good.
So
Book.
good.
Yeah.
Tiny book. Read it in a day. The contrasting characters is brilliant. The dialogue is, it's not dialogue because it's told in first person, but it is just that wonderful contrast of Julian of Norwich and the other character, which I've forgotten her name. But it is, she is very vocal and very almost manic.
Yes.
And the character Julian of Norwich is so thoughtful and reflective, and there's a quiet brilliance about her. I just adored that novel. You Are Here, David Nichols.
Oh, I really want to get to this.
It is his best, in my opinion.
Really?
In my opinion.
That is a big statement.
It is best. I loved this because again it is a nature book as well.
Yes.
It's amongst nature, and I mean there's a love story at the heart of it, of course. It is so good. I absolutely adored that. So yeah, definitely that one. Oh my gosh, before I forget, I got to read an advanced reading copy of Rare Singles by Benjamin Myers. Oh man.
Bobby Palmer recommended this.
It is so good. It's about friendship, unexpected friendship. It's about music, soul music. It's set in Scarborough, which we've been there on holiday a couple of times, and I don't know what it is about that. And because we spent some time there, I could really visualise this novel. So I really like Scarborough. I don't know why.
I've never been, so
it's the East Coast. Again, it's I mean, I don't know what it's like to live there, but I enjoyed being there. It's got a beach. It's got all the amusements and it was fun. It was brilliantly. It's so well written, and so excited for that one. That one comes out, which you can pre-order with us, a special indie edition.
Gorgeous.
And it comes out in August. That is a great one. There's so many. Oh, The Unfinished Business of Edie Brown by Freya North, which is her love letter to Manchester. So it's set in the time where the Hacienda was coming up.
Yep.
It's about friendships at uni. It's a coming of age story. The characters are wonderful and warm, and it's relatable, and I just absolutely loved that. So that's still in hardback. It's coming out in paperback in September. I know you said to wrap up. I'm so sorry.
I'm loving this.
Just trying to remember all the ones
my favourite
I love.
thing.
Other Women by Emma Flint. We read it for book club. Oh my gosh, that is atmospheric. It is based on true events. So if you like historical fiction set in the 1920s about a woman that is 37, she's unmarried, and she's seen by this married man. He's charismatic, and they begin an affair, and it just gets progressively worse from there. It is so well written. Probably our highest rated book in the book club was Other Women by Emma Flint. You have to read that. That is your, if you don't have a summer read, that is your summer read. Whale Fall.
My friend just sent me a copy of this.
It is another debut novel.
Yeah.
Small. It is beautiful. It's lyrical in its prose, and it's about a young girl that lives in a community, a very small community off the coast of Wales. So it's one of the islands off Wales, and she is contemplating moving to the mainland and beginning her life. So she's a young girl with a young sister, but she's going to go off and move to the mainland, and this is just before the war, so she doesn't know what's coming. But these a couple of people move to the island. They're scientists and really shake things up, and it's about what happens after that. So
You've got me so excited to read this now.
it's fantastic. And also I read, just for a palate cleanser, I read Stand Up Guy by Nina Kay, and I was also at the time watching Baby Reindeer.
Oh my gosh,
and
yes.
It is a chick lit, but it's about and there's nothing wrong with that. It is about a romance that happens during the Edinburgh Fringe, and I think that
wow.
yeah, so that's why I picked it up, because I thought, yeah, that's, I need some sort of contrast that's happening with that. Have you seen Baby Reindeer?
Yes, yeah, very dark.
Very dark. So yeah, if you're looking for something that's set around Edinburgh and is a bit of fun, that's a good one. And that's and Sparrow. We just read Sparrow by James Hines. It was our last one for book club, and it is set the fall of the Roman Empire. It is dark, and it is about a young boy with no identity who grows up raised by the women that work in a brothel called the Wolves, who some love him more than others, and it's devastating what happens to him. If you don't like dark reads, I wouldn't recommend it, but it's going to be one of 4, and again, just beautiful, beautifully written. I don't have much of a hang of the English language, and it's the only one I speak, but I just love how people take words and they draw people in, with their beautiful way of writing, and that is definitely one I admire. So Sparrow by James Hines.
So many recommendations. I love this list, and you've also put lots on my radar as well, which is always lovely. Lastly, where can our listeners find you online?
You can find us on social media. There's that old word again. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and so we post a lot about our events on there and competitions through there. So our mailing list it's important because we control that, so we don't spam you. We send you out information that you need to know about our events and exciting things coming up for us. How you can support us as well, and so yeah, sign up to the mailing list and join our book club if you're local. It's a lot of fun. It's a very welcoming group, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for coming on A Pair of Bookends. It's been an absolute joy chatting to you. And for our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to rate, review and subscribe. And you can also follow us at Pair of Bookends Pod on Instagram and at Pair of Bookends on Twitter and TikTok. And that is what we've got time for. So thanks again, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Hannah.
And bye.